are live. Eric Butler, we are live. This is real. Welcome back to Unauthorized Opinions, UOPod.com. Like, share, subscribe.
It's pure propaganda and it's super cringe, by the way.
I literally went to the polls with nothing in mind. I saw a can of orange soda in the parking lot. And I was like, yeah, there we go. An unopened can of orange soda just chilling in the parking lot. I was like, yeah, I got to vote for Trump, dude.
Your podcast sucks. It's mental, mate. It's absolutely mental.
I'll be honest, I thought it was kind of offensive when you talk so much about the Loch Ness Monster.
Political climate.
It's great here, a lot of fat chicks and a lot of screaming.
Andrew and Eric, a couple of conspiracy retards.
And Andrew, treat yourself, okay? Especially if you start, I don't know, getting in good with homeless people.
Unauthorized Opinions, streaming everywhere at uopod.com. Cock-a-doodly-doodly-doo, man. Oh God, we're back, and I'm alone. I feel afraid and naked and alone without Eric Butler, but we are live everywhere. We're live on Rumble, we're live on YouTube, we're live on Getter, we are live on even Twitter. Who knows what's going to happen this week? Who knows if the Getter numbers are going to be what they should be, which is a couple thousand. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Who knows how many people are going to be on Rumble? Been getting good numbers on Rumble, everybody. Last week, we triggered a few people. I wore a mask to protect myself from the firefighters. What are you going to do about it, I guess, in Canada, where we pretend that some campfire smelling from 3 provinces away is harmful to us, and we pretend that we didn't find out that they were set by people. They were set by people on the East Coast. They were set by a firefighting group training in Alberta. And then people put out this satellite imagery of the Quebec wildfires, and they all came about at the same time. Maybe it was Zeus threw 3 lightning bolts. And now we got them. Nobody really cared, and we got them in Ontario now. So out of nowhere, just wildfires across the country. And they probably happen every year, but they're just telling us about them now. I asked some people in Toronto today about them. And people aren't buying it. People actually aren't buying the wildfire story from the media about it being climate change this and greenhouse gases that. Nobody, and even in Toronto, nobody's buying it. I asked people about Olivia Chow, who's going to ruin the city of Toronto more so. Found out that she's going to put in more bike lanes, which should really help the 15-minute city thing she's pushing. But, you know, when you go to Toronto and you want to speak to Torontonians, it's not as easy as it sounds. You've got a tour bus full of Mexican people, and I'm not blaming these people for visiting the city, of course, but it's just not easy to find actually people who are from Toronto. And when you do, they don't have any idea what's going on. I went to City Hall. They got 5 flags there. They got the Ukrainian flag most prominently, which is great for the day after Canada Day. Happy Canada Day, by the way. Happy 4th of July. They got 5 native flags. One of them is the infinity symbol. One of them is clearly a bunch of Eskimos in some sort of knife fight. And nobody knows what they mean. And then I got to talk to a native guy who didn't know what all of them meant. And then he said that he hates Canada and F Canada Day, and that he's been, mistreated for 500 years, and that's all well and good. But my point is when you go to Toronto and you want to ask people about Toronto, nobody actually knows anything about Toronto. I counted about 6 people out of 25 people I asked actually knew who won the mayoral election in Toronto. And more people knew about, a K-pop band. Apparently there's an all-girl K-pop band arriving in Toronto, and I had a real big beef with that. They're called Twice. I'm going to bring it up. I don't even know who they are, what they look like, but they're called Twice, and their fan group, I thought these were people dressed in medieval period attire, but apparently it's their fan base, and their fan base goes by the name of Once. So I don't know if this is a Korean translation issue, but when you have a fan base called Twice, whatever that means, you can't just call the people who follow you Once. This doesn't make sense in the English language. I mean, would the Led Zeppelin fan base be called the Leds? I don't know. I don't even know how to compare it to something because it doesn't make any sense. I'm trying to find this. Let's try to find a video of this K-pop group. I even asked, their fans, let's call it. They were just lonely girls, let's be honest, to what they were. what tier they were in the K-pop, because I've only heard of the one K-pop group. I don't even remember what they're called. A bunch of guys wearing makeup. I keep wanting to say One Direction, but that's obviously not who it is. But let's learn this together. Then I promise we'll get to more interesting stuff. I just want to know who this is. We got to fade in. This is probably going to get copyright stricken. We have to be careful. So that's obviously Korean Taylor Swift. Or 5 Korean Taylor Swifts. 6 maybe. How could you have 6 people? I thought 5 was the limit. Do we want to hear some of this? We could. YouTube likes to screw with us and refresh it for a moment. But this is just taking it too far. When the most important thing in your city that's happening is a K-pop band is doing 2 shows on their tour, and nobody knows about anything downtown Toronto except for when the K-pop group is performing in this what is appearing to be a very laggy video. That's what I get for having it on Bing. I think there's 18 girls there. I don't know if they're all in the band. I don't know if they're not, but we've seen enough. Now to the important stuff. The triggerings. Triggered some people last week because I was wearing a mask for these, pretend wildfires. I said in the video I was pretending to wear a mask. Triggered some people. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. The next day he, comes out in support of affirmative action. And then there was a lot of triggering. And so I'm very interested in mass triggerings because they tend to say more about the people who are triggered than the person who said it. Because you can just throw something out there. I can wear a mask under my chin that I've explained is breathable and is essentially a fake mask, in the sense that it's easier to breathe through it than the paper masks. And people are still going to get triggered. There's a lot of comments. I'm not watching this because this person's wearing a mask. I understand, but I said it in the first 10 seconds. Okay. And then Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I said, he's a one issue guy that you probably support. And I said, bros who are anti everything, anti and pro freedom and everything, which is all well and good. They hear about this old guy on steroids who agrees with one thing that they agree with, and all of a sudden you're posting pictures of this old guy shirtless working out. It's just interesting to me how far we jump before we even read into anything. And it always seems to me that people are more revealing of themselves when they are triggered than the triggerer. So Pearl Davis is a YouTuber who they're calling the female Andrew Tate, you guys. Lock her up. Lock her up, throw away the key. She does a lot of stuff that triggers a lot of women. She posted a 13-minute video or something the other day about why women shouldn't vote. Pretty funny, standing in front of a whiteboard and everything else. And she posted this June 27th, which is 5 days ago now, I guess, or 6 days ago, however many days. And the triggering is still happening for it. The triggering is still going. As I thought maybe this was going to be dated when I first saw it, but no, there's still live triggerings happening. People are still stepping on trigger buttons. Okay, she says, yes, you're less attractive at 35 than at 25 as a woman. This used to be common sense 50 years ago. Now, obviously, this isn't true for everybody. It's not going to be true for a whole lot of people, especially if you were bigger when you were younger, if you didn't care as much, maybe you were a drug addict, whatever the case may be. But I think in general, everybody agrees that men and women are probably in better shape when they're younger, something to that regard. But what I'm interested in here, as I mentioned, is the triggerings. Okay. And it always shows more about the person who gets triggered by somebody's opinion than it does the person who's saying it. So we've got this woman here who goes by Officer Baby Wolf. We can discern what we need from that immediately, as my friend Lewis would say in England. She says, I will have to agree with this. LOL. I'm in the same boat. I'm hotter now at 39 than I was at 25. And she shows a picture of herself before and after. Here it is. And what's your first reaction? Because my first reaction is this woman really just wanted to share a picture of herself without a shirt on. That's my first reaction. Not, oh, maybe she's got a point here. It's this. She was going to post a picture of herself for some reason, and she found a way to do it. And why are you at 39 years old posting these pictures of yourself on the internet? That's a good question. The before picture of her had her more conservatively dressed. She's got a cross and everything. Is the true reality here now that you're more desperate? I think yes. And we had more, perhaps more disturbing posts about this afterwards. I hope you slay this hard at 50. Ageism isn't sexy, this woman says, whose name is Femdom Therapy. Again, we're saying a lot more about ourselves here in the reaction than the person who gives the first question. And then we've got another person, 23 versus 40. It's just, these are just excuses to post pictures of ourselves. And if you want to do that, that's fine. That's not going to be my cup of tea, or probably a lot more people's cup of tea who are on Twitter for like news and stuff. But we're all victims of what we click on. But this reminded me a lot of Ann Coulter being on some father's show. And by father, I don't mean a guy who's actually somebody's father. I mean a religious faja, a Catholic priest who apparently had a talk show called Father Albert, Hot Under the Collar, which is not to be confused with Fat Albert. I almost read it as Fat Her Albert, which is very interesting. But Ann Coulter was on this show years ago. This post on its own was posted in 2016. It's probably right around where I saw it. But Ann Coulter was on this show with this religious talk show host talking about how, statistically speaking, single mothers raise, the most criminals, they raise the most drug addicts, on and on and on. The people who are drug addicts, did I say that? The people who are deemed as society to perform worse. You know what I mean? And of course, it's not always true. I was mostly raised by a single mother. Look at me now. Many of my friends were. I considered them to be good citizens in good standings. Most of them with good jobs. So obviously, it's it's the exception, not the rule. But the rule statistically is that murderers, psychopaths, as they say, drug addicts, stuff like this, tend to come from single family households, which are predominantly mothers. Most single parent households are mothers. So Ann Coulter is on this show and she brings up these facts and they can't handle it. And this is what the tweets reminded me of this, because they're unable to just take in this fact, but the reaction to this fact is much more telling, because all these women in the audience that respond to Ann Coulter, all they say is, how could you, how dare you, etc., which is exactly what those tweets were. And then they just make it about themselves. So in the tweets, it's how dare you, now look at me. In this, it's how dare you, now let me talk about how successful I am, or how successful my mother is.
Please welcome controversial columnist and best-selling author Ann Coulter. Her new book is entitled Demonic. Ann said some outrageous comments about single mothers. And Ann, I really want to welcome you, but I don't get this about the single mothers. They should give up their kids for adoption.
Oh, definitely. That's what the statistics are. I mean, not once they're 14, but a woman who gets pregnant out of wedlock, if she wants to do the best thing for the child, it is overwhelming. She should give the child up for adoption, because the statistics, both from the left and the right, are overwhelming on what happens to illegitimate children. About 70% of juvenile delinquents, teenage runaways, pregnancies out of wedlock are committed by the children of single mothers. If you were in the womb right now and you could choose whether to be black, white, rich, poor, the one thing you should hope for as a child in the womb is, my parents are married.
Okay, I understand that.
So obviously these women are ready to lunge at her, and Ann Coulter is not one to dress things up and make things sound better. But you still know what she's saying, right? And if these statistics are true, which we would have to assume, or else why would we bring her on the show without fact-checking her on this? Father Albert, not to be confused with Fat Albert. But the reactions from the audience who are unable to process this fact without bringing their own personality into it, without bringing in their lived experience into it, is very telling. And you'll see why I make this connection.
That gives stability and all kinds of emotional strength to a child. What I don't get, though, is that we're singling out the single mothers, pardon the redundancy, but we're not talking about these absent fathers.
Well,
these absent guys. I mean, these moms are doing a heroic job. I mean, they're out there, they're working sometimes 2 jobs, they're getting their kids through school, they're feeding them, and the dads are nowhere to be found, and nobody's attacking them.
No one's celebrating them either. I am responding to a culture out of Hollywood, the courts, the elite media that is promoting single motherhood. They are not promoting single fatherhood or deadbeat dads.
What do you say to women who say, you are demonizing single moms?
All I'm doing is citing statistics. What works is the nuclear family. Now, sometimes that isn't going to happen. I mean, I do make a point of saying...
it's not going to happen. I mean, that's part of the reason why I'm hot under the collar.
Well,
there's so many great moms that are trying to be mom and dad to their kids. I know that they cannot be emotionally mom and dad.
So this guy, I mean, this is the only thing I've been exposed to for Father Albert, but he's obviously simping for his audience. As you can see, is a vast array of daytime talk show attendee women. You've got it in every city. You've got the Today Show in New York. You've got The View probably in Los Angeles. I don't know where that's filmed. You've got this show called Marilyn Dennis in Toronto. My mother's been to that show. It's where seniors and people without jobs line up during the day at, a weekday at 10 a.m. and they get in the chair, and man, are they ready to participate. Man, are they ready to hiss and jeer and have their elbow skin flap in the wind as they applaud and in an enraged fury of free tickets backed by, margaritas and crackers and cheese. That's all it is. And he knows where his bread is buttered. I mean, I'm not even religious, but I'm going to go ahead and say that probably having a talk show based on, everything he's talking about here is probably a little bit against his religion. I guess maybe you're going to get around it by saying you're doing these virtuous things. But my point is he's appealing to this audience no matter what. And maybe in 10 years ago, we would be able to be more sympathetic. But these days, when everything is just pro woman and pro fat and pro everything else, but the people that work hard, not to say women don't work hard, but you get what I'm saying. It's pro everything but, the people who are paying taxes and doing the hard work. He's sitting there and he's simping for this group of women when he's saying, well, aren't you forgetting the wonderful women? I turn into a person for the 1200s here. Aren't you forgetting the wonderful women who are working hard with 2 jobs and raising Billy and Sally? And it's like, no, we're not actually forgetting them. She's just pointing out, maybe she's doing a little crassly, but she's pointing out the statistics here that it's good to have 2 parents, particularly a mother and a father. That's good, and that can prevent a lot of bad things from happening in a society. And the point there is that the government should maybe give, you may not agree with it, but the government should give maybe some incentives to stay married, incentives to have children, and maybe the powers that be in the media and the government should encourage people and celebrate people who are in a nuclear family. That's what she's saying. But Father Albert is simping hardcore. Let's watch more.
But they really are going out of their way to provide for their kids.
Look, it's one thing, as I say, a single mother is something different from a divorced mother. Single mother specifically refers to a woman who, A, gets pregnant out of wedlock, and B, decides for narcissistic reasons, I'm going to keep this child for myself, because if she cares what's best for the child, she will give the child up for adoption. And that is a fact.
No, you think that's very judgmental? I think
it's a fact.
I think you're talking about maybe the Casey Anthonys of the world, where there's all this neglect that we can all see, obviously.
I didn't expect to disagree. I didn't remember the father being having this many interjections, but she says, I don't necessarily agree with it, but if the fact of the matter is that you're going to be a single mother, you should give it up for adoption to have 2 parents. I don't know if I agree with that, but what I don't agree with is him saying, you must mean this woman who is accused of murdering her child. That's who you must be referring to. You must be referring to the mothers who murder their children and throw them in the garbage. Allegedly Casey Anthony. Allegedly Jean-Benet Ramsey. This is who you're referring to. And for him to say that it's judgmental, he's a Catholic priest, bro. Your entire job is judgments and judging judgments from the Bible. I mean, where are you? That's like going to a mosque and being like, what's with all the judgment in here, you guys?
See, the jury did not see it, but there's a lot of controversy with mothers that are that way, that go out and party, that do this, that do that, and are not really responsible for their children. But a lot of single moms are being responsible with their children.
And yet, And yet, the statistics still are, if you look at it from the end of the spectrum of who ends up in jail, who ends up a murderer, who ends up a teenage runaway, who ends up getting pregnant out of wedlock herself, who ends up a rapist, about 70%, according to both the Village Voice and all these conservative pro-family groups, are going to be the children of single mothers. I mean, that is simply a fact. Now, imagine in America with 70% fewer teenage runaways, fewer teenage murders, fewer teenage drug addicts, fewer teenage pregnancies. That's what single mothers have created. And like I say, if you want what's best for your child, if you are pregnant out of wedlock, either marry the father, and by the way, shotgun marriages used to work just fine, but we've gotten rid of the stigma of a woman having a child out of wedlock.
But the problem is, it's good to get rid of those stigmas because we would put people always in a box. You know, this is the way you have to be. This is the way it works out.
And
you know, this is not an ideal world, and you're talking about an ideal world. Oh, in an ideal world, by the way, everyone has a mom and dad. We're going back, you know, to the days of happy days. You know, most of our young people don't know what that is.
When the kids turned out a lot better.
Well,
and they were given every advantage in life. Stigmas are good things. Look, we have a stigma against smokers.
Who are the single mothers of today?
Smoking is bad for you.
But
smoking is not as bad for you as being raised by a single mother. And yet, we do have stigmas, and they're good things. Stigmas against smoking, and yet smoking is not as bad for you as single motherhood. And there ought to be
How do you come to that conclusion?
I've just cited the statistics over and over again.
One kills you. We know that smoking kills you.
So I'm just looking up this Father Albert guy here, and let's because it's just odd to me that Father Albert is against promoting, you know, a nuclear family here, and it says Father Albert Cute, by the way, and I think this is from 2011. He left the Roman Catholic Church in 2009 so he could get married, and is now an Episcopal priest. Episcopal? And it's Episcopalians. He hosts this inspirational talk show. The show will discuss everything from sex to salvation. So he's not a real priest anymore, is what I'm going to go. My words are like, he decided that he didn't want to be as strict of a Catholic, and now he went to this, and he's having a talk show. So I guess I was kind of right in that I didn't understand how this would be, you know, something that he would be quote unquote allowed to do, but he's doing it, and he left being a Catholic, the Catholic faith, so that he could marry a slightly different religious person, I guess. But I think that explains some of the stuff that we're hearing from him. Now I want to get to the audience questions, because as you could see on their faces, they weren't too happy with what Ann Coulter was saying, and all she was doing was stating statistics, and that's why it reminded me of the Pearl Davis thing, because you can make a simple fact that you know that all of us innately known to be true. And if you want to bring it home to as a guy, it's like, I know 10 years ago I was a better athlete. I could recover easier. I could eat what I want more so. And those are traits that I desire to still have. And it's different for a man or a woman. I wish I could, you know, do anything that requires like my manliness easier. And for a woman, a lot of that is focused on, you know, getting a mate and finding a partner and settling down and all that stuff. And what you get from that, these reactions here that we're about to see, is you can just see the insecurity pouring out. That's what I think.
16-year-old son have sex.
You provide condoms at home.
Have these parents gone too far?
These parents have gone too far. Did we just fuck it up? We're going to get... We're stuck on the woman crying here. We'll just refresh it. The streaming program we use over here can be so annoying that he's hot under the collar, everybody. That as soon as you go to refresh a page, I'm looking over at the imaginary producer, and I'm just like, what the hell, dude? We gotta figure this out. What's a below meal
Extreme parenting.
I want to prep them.
Giving alcohol to minors. 10 years.
We'll just let this play out, this ad here that we're seeing about facial fillers and whatnot.
Parents gone too far.
Kids are going to do it.
Why do it at home? Why feed the fire?
This is like, you guys know Steve Wilkos? When he would take people's seats away from them on TV and be like, you don't deserve to have a seat on my show.
We're back with the always controversial Ann Coulter, and this audience wants to get in on this conversation.
My first question is for you. Do you have any children?
Not relevant to statistics.
Okay, because for me, I've seen, not only my family, I have a ton of friends who are single mothers, and the way they raise their children, they give them the most love than even two parents can give them. I'm raised in a family with two parents.
Okay.
And you know, you don't know what it's like sometimes to have two parents. Sometimes, some people, it's worse to have two parents. I agree. You'd rather have just one.
This woman's ready to cry, and then this is what we're gonna get. I'll let it play in more in a second, but this is what you're gonna get. You're gonna get a bunch of women coming on here and saying, "But my anecdote says this, therefore it must be the existing reality," and it just isn't. It just isn't. My car lasted 600,000 miles. My car, drove through a brick wall and it was fine. Most cars will not go that far. I'm sorry. You may have had the most wonderful car. You may have had the best looking car. Your car might have been in better shape when it was 35 than when it was in 25, but most cars will not be.
Parent who gives you all that love than two parents who are constantly arguing, who they've been together for years and they're miserable, and you can't speak for everybody. You're speaking about statistics.
Right.
You have to live it in order to understand it, not just by statistics.
And sometimes Derek Jeter strikes out. And yet, he's still a great baseball player because we look at overall how many times at bats, how many times a home run. When you have 70% of the children in juvenile delinquent institutions coming from single-parent homes, yes, I'm sure some single mothers do a terrific job, and I'm sure there are some two parents who do a terrible job. And yet, the statistics are the statistics.
And we have more from the audience.
You keep saying, statistics, but anybody can make up a statistic.
That's why there's so many of them, from both the left and from the right, and for 30 years
Where do you
now.
think it's okay to say all this?
Okay, you know what? You may as well stand up.
My mother was a single mom, and I'm getting emotional.
That's fine. You're saying what you feel.
I can't talk now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, you may as well stand up and say, I'm a smoker and I'm very upset about the smoking statistics, and don't you tell me about lung cancer. The statistics are the statistics.
Nice. She's talking about something important to her.
So is smoking, and people dying of smoking, and so is people being raised by single mothers.
I don't understand.
Standing up and saying, I'm a single mother and you can't say that is not an argument.
Tell her about your mom.
I didn't say that I was a single mother. I come from a single family.
Okay,
I'm not a rapist. I'm not a murderer.
Don't yell at me about what the smoking statistics are.
We're not talking about smoking, lady. We're talking about single parents. We're talking about something far more important than smoking, I feel.
Yes, as I said, it's more damaging to a child.
The woman who was obviously from 2006 looks like every girl that went to high school in 2006. Exactly the point. I don't know how much more you want to see. If you guys want to see more cringe, let's get a couple more questions in here, and then we got to move on because I don't know. There's 5 minutes left.
So for you to even put those two together is ridiculous. I know you're saying this stuff, but do you think about it before you say it?
No, just shoot off at the mouth.
That Blair White?
It's a chapter of my last book. It has the studies there if you're interested. It is study after study. No, I'm just shooting off the top of my head what comes into my mind.
Actually, I'm a minor, and I come from a single family, single mother, okay? And I was raised really well. I'm doing really well. I'm going to school. I'm doing what I need to do to make it in life, and I'm pretty sure I'll probably be making more money than you. Only because I'm not just famous for stating a horrible opinion, not a statistic.
Look, the point is not what has happened to children who have been raised by single mothers already. Wish you the best. The point is to influence choices going forward.
But
now,
Ann, are you serious about this? Because everyone here is outraged in this audience. I mean, you are citing statistics. I know that they're credible, but what we're hearing here is...
I know these are credible statistics, but I'm going to have to disagree with you because my audience is crying right now. And one girl says she's sure she's going to make money when she's 25. So that's a point. And my parents were good to me, so that's another point. It's just an emotional reaction, and we're gonna have to get over it at some point. I'd like to take this time to plug ourselves. Patreon.com/uopod. If you're not subscribed, please go there. We do a bonus podcast every week. Last week was me triggering people with a mask on. That was a lot of fun. We give a bonus segment on there. The other ones are a couple of the segments are from the bonus podcast are published, but you get the whole thing in video where you don't get it anywhere else. And we post some stuff on there that you can't get anywhere else for weeks and weeks in advance. And you can also follow us. I'm Andrew Does on Instagram. I have a YouTube channel and everything. Andrew Says and Andrew Does. And Eric, who's not here, he's moving. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We'll see where he's going next. And he's reporting Opine. So please, if you haven't already, check out all of our links. uopod.com is where you can find all the links. If you're listening to the audio only, give us a subscribe and give us a review. 5 stars only, please, like it's Uber. Unless we really piss you off, then you can start removing half stars. But unless you're going to start giving the guy who brings you Popeyes in its perfect condition anything less than a 5, you're ruining our lives if you do that. There is a senator, a Democratic senator out of the United States, from Virginia. And if you didn't know, Virginia just blocked Pornhub just blocked themselves in Virginia because Virginia now has a age verification thing. So basically, how other states have done it, I don't know if this is the exact one, but you have to prove with your driver's license or something your age before you can access, pornography sites. Now that's a little weird. It's a little weird because, you're giving your personal information to a pornography website. But I think the lesson here is unless if pornography is that important to you, then why would you, it's a little bit of what do you have to hide at a search your car situation. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with anything on the internet being censored. It's a parent's job to know what you're doing. You can put parental settings on your computer, and you should be encouraging your kid to go talk to real people if they're sitting in their room alone all the time every day. And I get it, I was a teenager, but there's got to be a solution other than the state censors something from you because it's icky. You know what I'm saying? But that's what's happening in Virginia. And this Virginia senator, I think, conjecture, can't prove it, Your Honor, have no evidence. I think she posted this by accident. She posted on Twitter, is anyone else's Pornhub not working? Why do I think this was an accident? One, because Democrats are weird. They're super into weird sexual things. And I can imagine someone wanting to send this to their group chat, being an old woman, and not knowing what they're doing precisely and not realizing that they posted it on Twitter. Ted Cruz did this once. Ted Cruz didn't realize that you could like things on Twitter and they would show up to other people, or that, other people could see what you like, or maybe he was in a different profile and he thought he was in a burner profile, an anonymous one. I'll show that in a minute. But this Senator Louise Lewis says, is anyone else's Pornhub not working? Now look at the time she posted this the other day, 3:04 p.m. Now, if this was her trying to teach you a lesson or give some broader point of context, I feel like she would have responded within the next 2, 4, 5, 10 minutes. Usually a politician would have something prepared if they're going to follow up with a series of tweets. But how long do you actually think it was? Was it 10 minutes? Was it 20 minutes? It was actually 40 minutes. So we went from 3:04 to 3:41. So 37 minutes went by, and she finally says, I told you all I'm not your typical grandma. I mean, the first one got almost 2 million views. The second one got, 1/10 of that, if not even. And she says, I'm not your typical grandma. And then she says, in all seriousness, now we're being serious. We passed a bill during this session to protect children from online porn. However, the executive branch had an obligation to create a system for age verification. Instead, the government sat on his ass. The governor sat on his ass and relied on these websites with porn to do the verification process. So, I mean, she wants the government to do something like I don't want the government to do something. And if it's on these companies to verify that, then I think that's how it should be. I think the places should have to follow the laws, although I don't think this law should be in place. I don't think children should be watching it, obviously. but I don't think this law should be in place. However, this woman taking upwards of 40 minutes to respond to herself, 341. I told you all, I'm not your typical grandma. I think that makes it pretty obvious. If you had a point here, why did it take 30 minutes to get to your point or 40 minutes to get to your point? Then she gets into, all this other stuff that you thought would be planned out. These are the types of tweets that were planned out afterwards. And after she tweeted it, it would probably be a decision here that they're making. Hey, it doesn't look good if we just delete it right now. People are going to think you're a weird, creepy grandma. Instead, let's put out a series of tweets that we've taken 35 minutes to write out and just say we didn't mean to do that. And we will continue to work to keep pornography out of the hands of minors. Looking at you, teen Dems. We're also working to ensure this governor's error does not put up the. So she goes from her making a mistake to the governor being garbage, I guess. And it's just a bad weekend for women in power, I guess, if you think Pearl Davis is in power. Now, this brings us to our next thing that I saw the other day. You guys know as much as I do that you see, Peloton commercials, you see fitness app commercials, Apple watches and everything, and Under Armour and stuff like that, Nike commercials. And what do you see now? You used to see attractive people, you see people in shape, and this is not a how dare you be out of shape sort of thing. It's an how dare you lie to us sort of thing. So you see all these commercials now, and you see transgender people and you see morbidly obese people, and those are two of the things you're not supposed to criticize. You're not supposed to tell a woman that she's not selling her product properly because she's obese, and you can't tell a transgender person, hey, I don't know why the mall is putting up a poster of a guy putting on makeup, because that's probably not the target audience for it. All 12 guys who are coming into that store to buy makeup is dwarfed by the 99.9% of women who actually buy makeup. So it's very confusing. You wonder why companies throw themselves into the pit of despair and lack of monetization by showing you fat models and transgender men eating Taco Bell and men in dresses for a Marshall's commercial. The clothing store is what I've seen, and you've got to wonder what they're thinking. Well, now, this is something somebody said to me, there is a fat fitness program for fat people, and I don't know if they're calling it that, but I'm calling it fat fitness because it's hilarious. We'll get to what their workout was, but it was hilarious. So this woman, and I don't care if you're fat, I don't care if you're out of shape. I mean, obesity costs us all money in the long run, but if it doesn't affect me, if there's a world where it doesn't affect me, I don't care. But what I hate is the lying. And we're lying to people here by saying, like, these women are in shape. And we're going to go, it's called like body something, and they have the regular models. But what it is supposed to be, a workout for people who want to pretend they're working out. And we're going to show you what is going on here with this. This woman's walking out. She's not in very good shape. It says it's for beginners, yes, but it's, the whole thing is about putting in minimal effort, and the messaging through it, the whole thing is, hey, if you eat cake, and they have a trailer on their website, hey, if you eat a bunch of desserts, it's fine. Just keep working. It's lying to people, telling them that it's okay to be fat so that they keep coming back to your program, so they keep buying your product. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when the gym gets you to sign up, they don't really care if you don't come because they're still getting your money. And what this person's doing is, hey, I don't care if you eat a bucket of ice cream. I don't care if you stop your workouts 5 out of 6 times, because you're going to keep coming back, and that's okay. So she's telling people it's okay to be fat as long as you put in, the most minimal amount of effort. And she's got a chair back there because, believe it or not, some parts of this workout, they say, are made for sitting down. And you're going to see this woman in the background. There she is. She's sitting down. When have you ever seen a fitness video that isn't for seniors? Seniors in an aquatic center or something. When have you ever seen a person sitting down during an exercise video? And they are doing the laziest workout I've ever seen. And again, I don't care what you do, but don't sit here and tell me that this isn't just about suckering people in and making money, because you're telling people it's okay. I'm going to find that for you. You're telling people it's okay to eat ice cream and all this stuff, and it is, but don't tell them that they're going to be in shape if they do it. Don't tell them they're going to be in shape if they do this program. If we hear some of the audio on this woman can't make it through.
Cardio workout. Yes, Lisa with the swag.
This woman can't make it through the workout without taking food.
Okay, our next
workout is going to be one of my favorite days of this program. Walking and talking to the people, which they do in most fitness videos, but she can't complete the workouts for herself. And they're not showing, old people in the background. That would be fine if these are exercises for old people, but they're not. I'm going to find this trailer that they have here, and you're going to see it's 90%, text on a screen. But your yoga pants, they pretend you won't. Let's read that over, okay? You will fail. That's a good message. So what? Everybody does. Okay, better. But your gym, your watch, your yoga pants, they pretend you won't. So when you miss a day, eat a donut, give up on a workout, you failed. You did. You did fail, okay? That's okay too, but you did fail. Why are we lying? Why do we have to lie? It's because they want your money. The same reason that they want to put up, why Budweiser wants to sponsor the Pride Parade, because they want your money. They want you to think that they support you so that they can take your money and you don't have to feel bad about it. But this thing just starts off lying to you. Seriously, what the hell? We've been a part of that too. Not anymore. We're rejecting the idea of perfection. Why are you rejecting the idea of perfection? You're rejecting the idea of being in shape. So they show you an in shape woman and they say, we're rejecting perfection, as if this woman on the screen doesn't exist. We're embracing reality. And what does reality mean, everybody? Not in a Pizza Monday kind of way, in a loving your whole life kind of way, in a this workout is fun. You mean it's not difficult? You mean I can eat pizza every single day? Oh, I'm going to sign up for this program. Look, even have more dessert. They have a woman who's 300 pounds. Again, I don't have a problem if you don't want to exercise. I'm not going to blame you. Exercising sucks. But you're just sitting here lying to people. This woman's in shape. It's fine. It's fine. She's eating ice cream, which are much. And then for some reason, we have a woman with a mullet here. I don't know what that has to do with anything. Yeah, you will fail. We all do. The only time they show the woman who's in shape is when they talk about failure or being unrealistic. See that? We're already making progress. So let's keep going. And then we go back to what they're actually promoting, and it's being large. I'm sorry, but you're just going to stick here and you're going to stand here and let's just watch. Let's just watch to see what the next exercise is. We can hear that she's delaying in her breath.
It's 20 seconds before we move on to the next exercise. So let's set up our first move. You're only going to do 3 of them today. You got to do the whole program to get all the rest, the full entree, okay? So we're going to think about standing in the center of our square. And our first move is a boxer bounce front and back. You can watch Ferg for this one too a little bit. So I'm going to turn towards the corner of my square, keeping hip width distance between my feet. I'm going to shift my weight to my front leg and my back leg, like I'm a boxer in the ring. Yes? Claudia is going to keep her feet on the floor, taking out all the impact. You guys ready? We got 40 seconds. Yes, you can take and dance a little bit. I got some fire playlists in here through this whole program too. You guys ready? 40 seconds on the clock. Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Forward and back. So we're just shifting that weight. Oh.
So you see, this is an attack. What it really is an attack on women. And this is what it's been pushed to do is this woman's part of a culture where she's just like, it's okay that you're fat and it's okay that you put in minimal effort. Nobody can say anything otherwise because you're a woman. Okay. And then what the other people were saying, you can't say that I'm less attractive now because I'm a woman. It's all excuse making. And there's an attack on women in this sense that it's like, the same way, affirmative action was recently overturned. It's an attack in the same way. It's you're too dumb and pathetic to be able to accomplish things on your own. So what this woman's saying is go ahead and eat the cake. Go ahead and stop striving to be thin and in shape. And just accept that you can only do 3 things, fat ass. And what's the difference? Why even try? You're gonna fail anyways. So why try to do more than 3 things, like she said? Why even get up to do your workout? We can dance in between things as long as we're not actually working out. Then all is good. It's an attack on people and just constantly calling them dumb. And that's the thing that I have a problem with, is perpetuating this, I was going to say the R word, you guys. I'm already demonetized. I guess it doesn't matter. This stupid, childhood manipulation where it's like everybody's a winner. That thing that is perpetuated through society for the last like 20 years, where everybody's a winner. Nothing can be criticized. And again, it's okay. Just eat the cake. It's fine. You're going to fail anyway. You're already a loser. You're a loser. Just stop trying. Eat the cake. Join me for my 37-minute workout, which is actually 14 minutes of workout, because we're sitting and we're only doing 3 things. And then the rest of the time, I'm just standing there and saying, let's dance, because I'm actually trying to catch my breath. This woman's never been an actual fitness trainer. She just picked up like 5 things she saw from a bunch of different videos. And she said, I can do this. I can sell people from an angle of it's okay to be huge. And that's what these people do. People like this, they say, what's a good way I can sucker people out of money perpetually? I can say it's okay to be fat so that they'll keep coming back and say, just a little bit more, just a little bit more. That's what they do. That's what they did at Bud Light. They thought, they asked this marketing girl, what do people want? How can we get them to pay money? Well, we can pretend to care about transgender people. And of course, the corporations don't actually care about transgender people. They're just hoping that you think that somehow this corporation is an entity that is good and righteous, and therefore you will buy from them. People don't want to think about that stuff when they're buying stuff. They don't want to have to make a political decision when they pick up, a watery beer that is notoriously associated with bro culture. They don't want to think about that stuff. So when it comes to the lying aspect in Bud Light's case, which is, hey, this guy's actually a girl, that's when people start to say, hey, what do you think, I'm an idiot or something? And that's what people should be saying to this lady is, so you're calling me a loser, and all my life I've been thinking that eating cake and being a fat loser is bad, but actually she's telling me that being fat and eating cake is good, so why don't I give her money perpetually? I'll sign up with my credit card. Please take $11.99 out of my account per month, and I'm just going to not notice it. That's what she's doing, and that's what's annoying. I want to finish on something funny, because nothing's funny anymore. The Danger Cats are funny. They're comedians out west in Calgary. I got to interview them a few months ago. They're funny dudes. And this one guy, Sam Walker, who is a part of the Danger Cats, he has like a mullet. He wears pit vipers. He's got he always wears one glove for some reason. I'm not sure why. You can't get a straight answer out of him. But he was at some event with a bunch of Canadian seniors, and he sang a version of the national anthem, which is, not the real version. And it just triggered so many people. And this is the triggering episode, me and you included. And they just started getting up and leaving. It's absolutely hilarious. I'm going to play it for you. Yeah, okay, let's go with it. It's not working, though. Why do I do this? Why do I have to deal with this? Just I don't want to ruin the intro for you guys, so that's why I'm letting it play there. Okay, now we can. Sam Walker is his name.
Alright, so we gotta set this up. We're at a Canada Day event in the middle of the day, and we're gonna sting the audience by giving them Sam Walker's Canadian anthem. Oh yeah, they need it.
Oh, Canada. It says they all begin to stand. Our stolen native. And then they all immediately sit down. True patriot's blood is on all our hands. With broken hearts we fall apart. The true north, small and weak.
We spread a wide open.
We need to get the fuck out of here.
Frogs keep our land notorious for greed. Oh, Canada will get down on our knees.
This guy doesn't even know this.
Oh, Canada will spread our cheeks for free.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
So I've spoken to Sam Walker, and he's very much into a lot of the same conspiracies I am, and he's a very pro freedom kind of guy. And the people who are clapping obviously get that he's saying the country will put up with anything, and there are some hardcore boomers there that didn't quite get the idea of what he was going for, but. All is fun and good in the Triggered episode. Shout out Armando Reyes in the chat. Shout out Roly Poly. What the Okie? I don't even know what that says. It might be Quebec French. I don't know. Shout out Lyle Crawford and shout out Peter Blackburn. If you guys haven't subscribed, please do so. Shout out anybody watching on Rumble. Shout out anybody watching on the UOPod podcast channel on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed, please go there. That's where all of our clips are. You'll get 3 clips from this show, then you'll get 3 clips from the bonus podcast every week. And if you sign up for the bonus podcast at patreon.com/UOPod, then you will get the bonus podcast in its entirety, where it's uncensored and frankly much better. Me and Eric basically just come on and we talk shit and we don't censor ourselves at all. And it's way better because YouTube demonetizes us immediately. As soon as we go on, as soon as I log on to the live stream on YouTube, then I see that it's been demonetized. And then maybe by Tuesday or Wednesday, after the appeal goes through, we win the appeal. Every single time we get demonetized by YouTube, we win the appeal. They just automatically flag it for demonetization. Why? I have no idea. But this is the world we live in, so we're trying to just grow and grow. And if you subscribe, then it really helps us. We're on Getter, of course. Getter, I don't know what happened there. We were getting thousands of views per episode. Now we're down to 50 sometimes. We're at 100, I'm seeing now. Rumble's numbers have been good. Our live streaming or our podcast numbers have been good. So please, whatever platform you're looking on, go ahead and give us a subscribe or what are the equivalent to it is. Shout out Pearl Davis for triggering everybody. Shout out for the fat girl for telling everybody fatness is the greatest thing ever. And shout out to the women who, they didn't want to agree that they were hotter in their 20s, I guess. So they really showed it to them by posting skanky pictures of themselves. We'll see you guys next time.
Turn it up, Jordan.